Let's say we are driving an F-35 fighter jet to engage the enemy at a distance. Suddenly, we hear a warning from the jet telling us that the enemy's missile has been locked. As the pilot, what should we do to avoid this missile? Some of you may think that we should launch a hot air missile at the first time. If the missile is not dropped, we should launch a large angle strike to overload the missile and get rid of the missile tracking. But if these methods do not succeed, we can only wait for the missile to be hit. In this case, what we can think of, the U.S. military naturally thought of it. At this time, the U.S. military has the last move, which is to release a drop-dead bait. Today, we are going to talk about the life-saving weapon of the U.S. military jet, the drop-dead bait. Everyone should know that the air-to-air and ground-to-air missiles can be said to be the deadly enemy of the jet. At present, the air-to-air missiles are not new in the way they are guided. Basically, they still use the two modes of infrared guidance and radar guidance of the early missiles. If the jet wants to avoid these missiles, it needs to interfere with them. For example, release electromagnetic interference signals to disrupt the lock of the radar guide on the missile. But after many modifications in technology, the traditional interference mode is getting weaker and weaker for the current air-to-air missile effect. In terms of currently relatively new radar-guided air-to-air missiles, it can launch effective attacks on fighters more than 100 kilometers away. And like the long-range model of the ground-to-air missile, the range can be more than 200 kilometers. This allows the ground-to-air missile to launch an aggressive attack on the fighter. The fighter is in a passive state, and due to the new generation of ground-to-air missiles, the air-to-air missiles basically use anti-interference technology, which is more advanced than radar-guided air-to-air missiles. Once the fighter is entangled by this type of missile and wants to use the traditional interference method to get rid of the missile's attack, the possibility of success is very slim. Therefore, the use of new means and technology to ensure the safety of the fighter has become a natural problem. However, in this field, the right-ear missile is undoubtedly the best choice. As early as the 1970s, the ANALE-45V anti-missile system used on the F-15 fighter designed by the United States had the function of interfering with the enemy's missile attack against the right ear. However, the right ear of this period uses extremely simple interference waves, which can create chaos by a large amount of dust. Not only is the technical level lower, but it is also difficult to deal with missiles that improve the ability to resist interference. In order to solve this problem, the U.S. Navy began to purchase decoupling type one-time use right ears in 1986. In 1992, the new ANALE-50 right ear system was handed over to the U.S. Navy for the first time by Thunder God Company. This is also the first officially equipped decoupling right ear system of the U.S. Army. ANALE-50 decoupling right ear is mainly composed of a storage launch device, a controller separation system, and a consumable right ear. The consumable right ear is stored in a sealed metal launch tube with a shelf life of up to 10 years. In its storage launch device, there is an electrical cable roll and a decoupling cable. When the fighter needs to use it, the decoupling cable can slowly release the consumable right ear like a kite. In the end, the consumable right ear is decoupled at about 100 meters from the base. This decoupling distance was obtained by the U.S. Army after a strict calculation experiment. If the right ear is closer, it may cause the fighter to be hit by the combat unit of the LACI missile. If the right ear is further away, it is possible that the radar projector of the LACI missile can distinguish which is the real target and which is the right ear through the angle. Furthermore, too long a distance can also have a negative impact on the mobility of the fighter. Compared with the previous defensive right ear, ANAL-50 can transmit and release the video signal of the simulated fighter radar signal from the control end through the beam to the right ear, thereby creating a false target, inducing the LACI missile to change course and explode in advance. The system can hold up to 4 right ears, which can ensure that the right ear is decoupled quickly when it fails, to ensure the safety of the fighter. In 1999, the U.S. Navy purchased about 4,000 sets of ANALE-50 right ears, all of which were used on F/A-18EF fighters. In addition to the LACI missile, the system can also be used on F-14, F-16, or B-1B fighter jets. This equipment attracted the attention of the outside world when it was born. It was another great innovation in the field of self-defense systems. In terms of concept, the decoupling right ear of the fighter is a bit like the active defense system. The function of both is to detonate the LACI missile in advance to ensure the safety of the other. The difference is that the former is the active launch missile to destroy the threat of LACI, and the latter is the LACI missile to intercept the LACI missile and detonate it. In the U.S. military, the large-scale decoupling right ear was equipped on F-16 fighters, and not long after on B-1B bombers. ANALE-50 decoupling right ear was the first opportunity to fight. With the outbreak of the Kosovo War, the U.S.-led NATO sent a large number of fighters to launch large-scale air operations against the Southern Alliance. An L-50 decoupling right ear was mounted on F-16 and B-1B strategic bombers to participate in air operations. In combat, the system is really not disappointing. The battlefield performance is quite excellent. According to the post-war incomplete statistics, ANALE-50 at least opened 10 missiles that were originally aimed at locking B-1B strategic bombers. Due to the excellent performance in the actual battle, the ANALE-50 decoupling right ear suddenly became famous, and the orders from the U.S. military increased significantly, and later, in addition to the superior fighters, U-2, F-35, Global Eagle and other aircraft have been equipped with experimental aircraft. The decoupling right ear released is also destined to sacrifice, which is more wasteful. In addition, the ANALE-50 also has a single interference method, only a simple adjustment in forwarding form. The right ear's bandwidth interference method has major limitations and other shortcomings. However, this is not a problem for the U.S. military because 2 years before the Kosovo War broke out, the ANAL-50 decoupling right ear's value had not been verified in the actual battle. The U.S. Air Force had decided to jointly develop a second-generation recyclable optical decoupling right ear. From this, it can be seen that the U.S. military is deeply confident in the value of decoupling right ears. At this time, the British BAE Systems Co. Lockheed has completed the prototype production work for the latest optical decoupling right ear ANALE-55 developed by the U.S. military and has begun to step up to the historical stage. This right ear can make the decoupling body more stable based on air pressure and speed compared to the previous generation, and the new active release system can be quickly and accurately deployed. And as the new generation of right ears of the U.S. military, the ANALE-55 decoupling right ear fully aims at the shortcomings of the ANALE-50 decoupling right ear. Compared to the previous generation, it not only has the ability to recycle and reuse, but also saves a lot of cost. The ANALE-55 decoupling right ear uses optical fiber as the decoupling line. Optical fiber decoupling can not only transmit the threat radar signal received by the right ear to the aircraft, but also transmit the deception signal generated by the interference machine on the aircraft to the right ear to decouple the missile and become a clever fake target. With the help of the electronic warfare system, the ANALE-55 decoupling right ear system is much more powerful. Pilots can use the electronic warfare system to determine the incoming signal and determine the best response. The decoupling right ear system and the right ear decoupling right ear system are 3 types of protection. Interference is the interference that suppresses the local radar signal so that it cannot lock the aircraft. Decoupling is when the threat radar has locked the aircraft. The electronic warfare system will transfer the best interference signal to the right ear according to the signal selection, causing the other party's radar to be disconnected. The decoupling right ear system is the last method of decoupling the right ear system. It is when the 2 previous protection fails and the missile still comes straight to the aircraft. The right ear system can make itself a fake target by blocking or simulating the incoming radar signal characteristics. The right ear system will attract the missile and hit itself to protect the aircraft. The ANAL-55 decoupling right ear system completed the first flight test on the U.S. Air Force B-1B strategic bomber in June 2002 and began production in 2006. The Global Eagle, which was shot down in 2019, is believed to have not carried the right ear system. Otherwise, it would be difficult for it to be shot down by Iran's air-to-air missiles. So far, the U.S. military has produced more than 3,000 sets of ANALE-55s. From the number of production, it is not difficult to see that the U.S. military is very satisfied with its performance. This also prompted BAE to continue to develop the decoupling right ear system. The stealth aircraft has become the most important aircraft of the U.S. military. Although the F-35 also has the ability to use the decoupling right ear system. But because it is a stealth aircraft, the ANALE 5550 decoupling right ear system used in traditional aircraft is obviously not able to meet the F-35's requirements for device stealth. In addition, the F-35 has added a decoupling radar right ear system on the right side of the fuselage. BAE has also built an ANALE 55 decoupling right ear system on the basis of the ANALE 55 decoupling right ear system. Through a comprehensive overall design optimization, the F-35's decoupling right ear fuselage can still be like a normal fighter in the case of a limited capacity. 4 ANALE 70 decoupling right ears are enough to deal with a high-intensity battle. As for the ANALE 70 decoupling right ear system itself, there is very little information about its performance. Therefore, it is still unknown what details have been improved in its research. At present, it is clear that the price of the ANALE 70 decoupling right ear system is $580,000. At present, the United States maintains more than 300 sets of purchasing volume per year. The F-35 fighter has more means to deal with radar-guided missiles. However, in terms of the current number of F-35s in the U.S. military, most of its fighters are still fourth-generation aircraft. From the current data, the U.S. Air Force is very satisfied with the ANALE 55 decoupling right ear performance. But it certainly won't stop there. The development of a new generation of decoupling right ears has already begun. On May 16, 2019, the U.S. Navy awarded BAE Systems a $36.7 million contract to develop and demonstrate a new twin-wave right ear, or DBD, decoupling right ear system to meet the urgent needs of the U.S. Navy to protect the crew of FA-18EF and other regionally penetrating attack aircraft to avoid the attack of enemy radar-guided missiles. These missiles use twin-wave work, and it is difficult to interfere with them. Therefore, the U.S. military hopes that BAE can create a performance that is comprehensively superior to the ANAL 50. In addition to the United States, many countries have also developed their own systems because of the many advantages of decoupling right ears. It is worth noting that the decoupling right ear is not all-encompassing. It also has its own shortcomings and disadvantages. For example, when the incoming missile is a head-on attack, there is a circular blind spot where the right ear cannot play a role. To successfully play the role of decoupling right ears, it is necessary to meet the requirements of the target corner. In addition, for fighter aircraft, the existence of right ears always has a certain impact on mobility. In general, decoupling right ears is based on the theory of two-point interference. The tracking radar will be the power balance point between the two high-frequency, non-related interferers. If it is aimed at high-frequency related interferers, the aiming point may be some point outside the 2 points. The effect of right interference is better, but the technical difficulty is greater. The core technology of decoupling right ears is still the active interference machine. It is just that a group of interference launchers are moved to the outside of the fuselage. Combined with the active interference machine of the aircraft itself, the single-point interference is developed into a double-point interference. The decoupling body is mainly equipped with an interference signal launch antenna. The radar warning receiver and signal processing system are still on the aircraft. This can greatly reduce the size, weight, and cost of the decoupling body. The right ear itself is a consumable that attracts missile attacks. The core of the radar confrontation is still the active interference machine. The decoupling body receives the adjusted signal and sends it out through the antenna. When the interference machine is working, the active interference machine must also send the signal at the same time. The two antennas of the aircraft and the decoupling body form a certain distance difference. The active radar reflection signal with similar signal characteristics. The strength of the decoupling interference signal is higher than the signal strength of the aircraft. The experience coefficient of the interference power ratio is 2 to 10. If the coefficient is too low, the ability to cover is insufficient. If the coefficient is too high, the technology is difficult to achieve. These are the technical difficulties that need to be overcome when the future decoupling right ear develops further. But in the current situation, no one can deny the practical value of the decoupling right ear. It has become the most valuable purple system in the machine-carrying self-defense system. Okay, that's it for this video. What do you think about the future development of the decoupling right ear? Welcome to leave a comment below. If you are interested in this channel, please click the subscribe button below. See you next time.